rods are just kind of a car version of a chopper. Just like motor, wheels, gas, and that's it. Our society, especially for cars and bikes, it's gone from a do-it-for-me society to now it's a lot of do-it-yourself. And a lot of guys learning it, you know, they want to feel the pride of being able to make stuff themselves. This place is called Austin Speed Shop. It's just a custom car shop, you know. We specialize in like old style craftsmanship and stuff that's timeless. It's just a good vibe, you know. It's a good bunch of guys, you know. They're all so wide-eyed and like they all want to learn. Everybody else I've been around for the last 10 years is kind of sick of me. And these guys, I haven't been around them long enough for them to like hate me yet, so. It'll actually shrink it and pull it backwards, so you got to help it. So let's go in corners. You should always go straight into the corner like that. I think at the time 5 years ago it was the height of West Coast Choppers, and that shop was like this like out of control tornado. To come here it was like quiet and everybody was mellow. I could just come here and work in peace. This little car here is mine. It's a 1932 Ford Roadster, and it's got a little flathead Vern Tardo motor in it and a stock 32 frame. We like raised the motor up so it didn't drag, so we could keep the ride height real low. So Luke and Patrick today are gonna help me make some stainless headers for it. From a tutor standpoint, I think my skills are well enough along now that I wanna start giving it away. Like Luke and Patrick, those guys are really, really good. And so anything I could do to make them even better, you know, I'm totally willing to do. So first things first, we should bolt the flanges up and see where we're working with. And then I think a good thing to do, instead of trying to like monkey it and like try to hold like 20 pieces up there and make it, I think we should weld these exactly where we want them and we'll build everything right to it. And it usually happens faster that way, I found out. I think to make a good set of headers, everything should be on the car that's going to be on the car. You got to make sure you have all your material. Make sure your bandsaw blade's sharp. If you're doing it at home, you can easily do it with a hacksaw blade. It'll take 10 times longer, but hey, if that's all you have, that's all you have. Make sure you have good sanding material and everything, and you know, some kind of flat sanding surface where you can sand a 90-degree angle. And it's basically like Legos, you know, if you can visualize the turns, visualize it together and start slicing it. You know, the only way to do it is just cut one bend in half and put it up there and start clocking it back and forth and see where it'll fit. We're just gonna wing it, you know, which I always do. I don't really try to draw a bunch of diagrams and charts and graphs and stuff. We just start making it. I said to keep my head like this until I'm ready to weld. Okay, I'm ready. This is like 40s era flathead, that it's a real Mercury block that I had 2 motors and I sent it to Vern Tardo and had him build me one good one out of all the parts. And so it's like, it's crazy. It's like 160 horsepower. Woo! It'll be almost as fast as a Nissan Sentra. But if we make good headers, we'll probably smoke it. Do you guys save all the little pieces? Yeah, I'm gonna have a big box of them. pretty fast, man. I don't f around, just get it done. Make the exhaust come out the back. This is my first car I'm ever building with the flathead, and I had like the best guy in the world build it, but they're pretty lame. Just no power. I'm gonna blow it up, I know. I'm trying to fit in with the cool old school crowd. I'm gonna roll up my pants and party. Tell everybody I'm from the 50s. There, done. Look at that. That should make traditional guys be pissed. Traditional guys only like stuff, so I think it's a cop-out for having a car. Slow and that, oh, it's old school.
That's debatable.
Luke is, you know, he's such an unassuming dude. I don't think he knows how good he is now. He's so shy and so quiet. He's real meticulous. You know, he's got a real fine touch on stuff.
My style is like I like really classic type of stuff, you know, more traditional, but I appreciate, you know, that we're not living back 50 years ago, so, you know, you can kind of bend the rules and use some different material or kind of different style, but, you know, just keeping in mind why you're building it or who you're building it for and all that, but not trying to go too far out and kind of like reinvent the wheel. But a lot of people will disagree.
This is like 2011, man. That's how pipes are supposed to look. Yeah, and Patrick should be able to mock those up. Well, you know, just cut the bends and duplicate them for the other side. Patrick's, he's not as shy as Luke, but he's still on the shy side of town and still doesn't realize how good he is skill-wise. He made a set of headers on his own for a 32 that just left out of here, a little coupe, and I was like, wow, that's like if me personally bought a set of headers, that's like for my trophy truck or something, that's what they would look like. You know, he's really, really good.
I had no idea that I would be learning from Jesse James. When I first found out that we were going to do this, I was really stoked because that's like a once-in-a-lifetime thing. It's awesome. What he did in like 2 hours today probably would have taken me an entire day or 2 days to do. I learned that we can do stuff a lot faster than I usually do it. Jesse's a madman.
I learned a long time ago, I don't give a how good you are. If you're slow, you're slow. You know, you got to get done and out the door to bring money in, so.
Well, it's Sunday morning.
I'm just trying to finish this runner and try to get it as close to that side as possible. It's not going to be the same because that side doesn't have this oil pan breather, but we're going to try to make it look as close as possible.
My natural way, yeah.
There's no real like rule book on how to do most of this custom stuff, but there are definitely wrong ways of doing it that some other shops do. But we try to keep it as legit as possible. Throughout high school, I just kind of worked on cars with all my friends. At 16 is when I first started welding, and I just kind of fell in love with it. When I got done with high school, I went to Wyotech in Sacramento. When I was done with that, I moved here to Austin and started working at a shop up north. It's a performance shop. That just didn't work out, so I came here and applied for a job, and originally they didn't want to give me a job.
Yeah, I'm a traveling man, baby. So you know I best, honey, I best be on my way, yeah. What on Slim, play some blues for me, baby.
I did basic stuff like patch panels and like a little bit of body work. And then finally, I kind of talked him into letting me do the headers. Luke actually helped me out too. He told him to let me do it. And we did the headers on the 49 Cadillac. And I guess they liked that. And so now that's just kind of what I've mostly been doing.
Now I'm just making the front runner, the front tube for this. Patrick got this back tube set up, and just gonna make the first one now. You know, you can buy pre-made headers or whatever, but you know, if you can make them yourself, it's cooler. Not everybody has them, so it's kind of the whole fun of it. These headers are stainless, and they didn't have stainless, or they didn't use stainless steel to make headers. The collectors are a whole different style. Like, nobody really did that. Older headers would be a lot more straight shooting, or just flow. You know, they wouldn't make too many bends because it's harder. These are like crazy and going all over the place, and it's cool. I mean, you know, but it doesn't really match what's on the car. And those are the kind of cool parts to make, or ones that not everyone's gonna like, or you hate them, and then for some reason you start liking them. It's a neat kind of thing to throw at people.
Austin Speed Shop, how can I help you? I'm the general manager, or my official job description is the 500-pound gorilla. Chase everybody around, make sure everybody's working.
Always need one of those, right?
You do. I don't think they knew they needed one till I got here. I manage pretty much everything that has to go on in the building. From paying the bills, running the merch, running the guys, making sure all the parts get ordered, making sure everyone's on track, pretty much everything. Got Jesse's 51 Mercury that we had built a few years ago for him.
I bought a beater Merc, and I took it down there and worked on it, you know, like a couple days a month for about a year and a half, and just got it finished.
Basically, that car came to Austin Speed Shop as a Merc that someone else had chopped a long time ago, and it was just a shell of a car, really. We had to cut the roof completely off because it was chopped very poorly, and we grafted a roof from a 1950 Mercury on it, and then we re-chopped it. The handles are shaved, it's nose decked, headlights are Frenched, it's got an air ride suspension, it's got a 502 Chevy crate motor. The Fat Lucky's interior is one of my favorite parts. It's not overdone, it's very classy, it fits the car well.
I couldn't ask for a better crew. I mean, they're just an awesome group of guys. Todd's one of my heavy guys. He does a lot of the fab work. He's the fit and finish guy. He's one of the original Salinas boys, worked with Cole Foster. Craig is my interior guy in-house, and he's got a heavy background, done a lot of work for other customizers, Rick Dorr, John D'Agostino, and now we have him here, and you know, if it's got, you know, stitches in it, he can do it. Magic is our natural. He's the kid that wound up here by accident, and anything you give that kid to do, he can do it, he can make it. And he's the natural, he really is. Luke, same thing. Luke had his own shop out in California, an amazing fabricator. Give him metal, he just, you know, metal, aluminum, steel, whatever, he can make it. You know, he'll make what you ask him to make come true. Patrick, same thing, young guy. Came to us from a tuner background more, working with Toyotas and that sort of thing. Give that kid stainless steel in the welder and you're gonna have some stuff that's gonna blow your mind. Bob's my other heavy guy out there. Bob's got a huge reputation of building hot rods and customs back in Milwaukee, where he's from. And he's here now. He does a lot of the chops, a lot of the heavy work. He builds our frames. I have a couple of young guys here, but they have old hands, if that makes any sense to you.
You know, some of these guys, they're brilliant for their age. These guys are the guys you're going to want to watch in the coming years, the future years, because they're going to be, you know, Bill Hines, the, you know, Gene Winfields. They're that good. But
yeah, we're real lucky, man. Just right now, this is the crew right now. these are the guys that make it all happen.
So we need some exhaust flanges for that motor. We could buy some, like that one piece one we had that's kind of ugly, where we could make some cool ones out of stainless. So I have a piece of 3/8 inch stainless, and I have a pattern that came off like I just cut it off a flathead motor, you know, a engine stand that ran off the exhaust ports. So I have a basic shape. So this kind of technique you could apply to anything. You know, just doing this transfer punch, bandsaw, you know, a lot of people think, you know, this one looks like it was cut on a water jet. Really, you don't need all that stuff. All you need is like, you know, a bandsaw and a drill press, which you could probably borrow from someone, you know, so to make cool, kind of nice machined looking parts, you know, I'll show you guys some tricks to like how I got by and did it for years. So, and this is a marking fluid, so when I scratch it, it'll leave a mark. So I know right where I need to be. When you're punching stuff though, you should have a firm surface, because like, you know, punches usually don't dig in unless they have a firm backing. So, and when I try to clamp stuff on the material, I try to clamp it so, you know, if I need a flat edge, you know, or like a straight edge, you know, use the material so you have less bandsaw cuts and that type of thing. Now we need 6 of these for the project, so we got to make sure we gang them up on them. You know, you also have to use the flat edge, but you also have to make sure they're clocked in there so you can get the maximum amount of pieces out of your material. So what I'll do is just take the scribe and scratch around there. And try not to do double scratches, because it like never fails if when you do a double scratch that the line will end up in 2 different places depending on your angle or how you're dragging it. So it's good, just do one perfect one and then leave it at that. So transfer punch. This has got the exact hole we need, which is like 1/2 inch. And that has a little punch on the center of it. So you take the transfer punch, and they usually come in sets like this. And you can get like the made in China sets, work good, you know, for how much you use them. And they're cheap. You get a set for like 20, 30 bucks. You know, this is probably for a fabricator. This is probably your most used tool, I think. You know, you just go to the art store and just get a circle template. And man, I wear them out. I have to get new ones. So what we need is 1 3/8 holes. And so what you can do, there's straight lines on this, just line them up with our transfer holes and line them up in the middle. Make a little scribe where your lines are on your circle template, and that'll help us find the center. We'll take a scale, lay it over those lines that we just did. Make a little X in the middle. There's our center. Take your transfer punch, or your center punch. And that's that. Let's make these holes first. So I have an iron worker that I can just pop those holes in, which is cool, or you know, you could just use a drill press, which is fine. You just got to make sure you start slow and then step up the drills, but let's just pop those, and then I'll show you how to broach it. Yeah, it's a Piranha iron worker. You know, it has a punch, a break, a shear, an angle iron shear, and a notcher. And it's an awesome machine. This is stainless, so it's a little tougher. Steel would push right through there and not even make a noise. But stainless is... I see a lot of guys having problems where they can't cut holes and stuff, or make a round hole in like sheet metal, or you know, or you have to have it machined on a turntable or whatever. What I use, which has been a trick for years, is I use Rota broaches. And this is just a Milwaukee broach, and it has a carbide tip on it. And what this does is, like, this is for like electrical contractors. when they need to put a hole in the side of an electrical box, they use these broaches to cut a perfect hole, and then they have the little clamp that grabs the wire and then sets itself inside the hole. But these things are super durable and pretty precision. So this is an 1 3/8. This is the size we need for the exhaust port. And so we'll use this in the bridge port, but you can easily use this in a drill press. You just have to make sure you clamp your work down really good so it doesn't walk around, but these things will bore a straight hole pretty fast. You just got to be careful, especially stainless chips, man. This stuff, it'll like grab you and pull you into it. Aside from the tool being a little dull, it's pretty painless to cut a hole. This is always the tedious part, working the bandsaw, especially on stainless or anything thick. You just got to be patient and let the blade work, because you'll knock the blade off the guides, or you'll knock teeth off the blade if you're too impatient. When I cut it, I don't cut right on the line. I stay just like a 1/16 away. That way when you sand it, you could sand it perfect right on the line. So if you cut it right on the line and then you sand the saw marks off it, then it makes it too small. So if you stay, give yourself a little extra meat, 1/16 or so off the line, then it makes a cleaner part in the end. Use this wood to push so you don't push it with your knuckles, because that hurts. Shoot. There you go. So we'll trim these up in the nibbler and then sand it up, and then we should almost have a bracket. We're just trimming off the exit, getting it close, and then I'll sand it into shape. Don't go too nuts, because you still want to keep your original bracket shape. I mean, that would be sufficient to work, if you wanted to use it, but what we'll do is we'll dress it even more, and then people won't even know how we made it. They'll think it was like some kind of manufactured in China or something. Also keeps the surface flat, so when you mount it to the head with the gasket, you don't have any ripples or nothing like that that's gonna screw up the way it seals up the exhaust. So, and then we'll use the round part of the sander to take these bandsaw marks and grind marks out of it. And I'll break the edge on the outer face. So this is the outside of the motor, so it'll kind of give it a soft look. Done. Yeah, and it looks like machined parts, but that's how I built my business, or got my name, is by, I didn't have any money. I just used what I got, and made it look like I had some expensive shop do it, but I just did it myself in my garage, So that's that, I'm pretty fast at that type of stuff, but you could apply this to that kind of technique for making stuff, It's pretty simple. You know, I think the hardest thing about this is having that rotary broach setup, you know. You know, we could have drilled the stud holes easy, but having that big, perfect 1 3/8 hole, you know, and having a cutter that'll cut it precision, fast, without having some crazy machine shop op, that's it right there. Down in Austin, Texas, this is like one of the coolest car shows in the world. It's called the Lonestar Roundup, and it's citywide. You know, stuff happens like tonight. You know, we're gonna have Reverend Horton Heat playing here. This is kind of like the Sturgis for car shows. It's just a good time.
What if this beer was wine? We'd fill our glasses full. We'd fill our glasses full. And toast to our dads. We're doing it something great with our lives. Something great with our lives. Clean break your handshake. Clean break your handshake. It's so late. Go home. Go home. What if your pain was mine? Would I still drink to you? Would I still drink to you? And wish you the best in your search for someone new. Someone new. Clean break your handshake.
My name's Bob, and my shop has been invaded by Jesse James. The Lonestar Roundup is a pretty important show these days, and we're kind of at the center of it.
Made those flanges.
Yeah, you did.
but the only broach I had was 1 3/8, so it's like the exact size of the port. So
They line up so far. How's the hole feel? They're good. A bit of room. Mine just look nice on it.
Yeah, let's mark it and tack it. I just do one section at a time. You just do a witness line and take it over to the bench and line up the marks and then tack it. Do you want me to show you how to do it? Sure. Okay. So I'll hold it, so Patrick, come over here and just draw a line straight across the joint. That's all you need to do. Take it over there and tack it. Just like that. Easy peasy.
So we just line up that mark we made and tack it. I'm just checking to see how everything clocks in. These bends are a little bit off, so I need to like cut this one and re-tack it so it jives better. You can see they don't line up that good. And you can take I usually take like a body hammer and I can like tap them so the joints fit, but then it usually kind of makes it like seagull shaped, you know, it'll dip in where the weld is. So it's best to get them totally aligned. I'm just fitting it, you know, removing a little bit of material and maybe beveling it a little bit just to get the gaps all perfect so everything lines up, you know, so when we weld it, there's no gap. I think people are going to be pissed that we did a nice set of stainless tube headers on an old 1940s flathead motor because it's like not traditional or whatever, but a stainless TIG welded bitchin' exhaust system is the best kind of exhaust you can get. So to run something that works just for the sake of being old school or something like that, I just won't do it.
Jesse and I go back and forth. He comes from like faster, bigger, cooler, stronger, and I come from like in a box of things that, you know, tradition. And Jesse thinks I'm dumb for that. But it's a good mix. It's very interesting to bounce things back and forth with him because it you know, I mean, both of us we'll end up with something really special in the end because it's we both kind of have to go out of our box to get there, you know. He's pretty smart, you know, and it's hard not to let that rub off on you. I think I've learned a lot, and more than he would know that he's taught me that.
Well, Bob is kind of
the anchor of the shop. You know, he kind of does most of the framework and stuff like that. And he's real savvy with hot rods.
I had my own shop in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I worked with my dad. I grew up with hot rods. I mean, I have a Roadster that him and my uncle built in the 50s, and it's been in my family, so I've never not been around hot rods. We're trying to take what people have done, mix it around, and put our stamp on it. Trying to do things that no one's ever seen before, but in a familiar way, you know, and kind of take it to a level that, you know, we're not even, you know, we're just trying to raise the bar constantly. This is a 32 Ford 3-window coupe. It's kind of the holy grail of hot rods, and I've been obsessed with hot rods since I was a little kid. These cars have gotten so crazy valuable that they're just untouchable for the average guy. You can't even find one, much less afford it when you do. So me, I'm not rich, but I'm pretty resourceful. So I've spent the last several years buying, selling, trading, and I've had, this is like, I think my 5th one, but this is by far the best one, so I think I finally got it. But it's pretty exciting. I'm gonna build it for myself. It's gonna have that engine actually. It's a 53 Cadillac engine with a blower. It's all Krager driven blower. It's all, you know, really traditional old stuff. There won't be anything on the car newer than 1958 when I'm done. So it'll be like a mean little street racer.
I think we have a really good crew here. I'm on a first name basis with everyone. I don't want to get any bigger. I want to stay small and work on these 4 or 5 guys that want to learn right now. So,
and that's what's great about these guys, Luke and Patrick. I mean, they're brilliant for being so young, but they're not even started yet.
Yeah, now we've tacked everything up, and so we're getting ready to do the final weld all the way around it. This is the point where you'd want to start back purging, or at least get your whole setup going. Basically what I'm doing is I'm hooking up another argon line that's going to go inside the pipe, and it's going to fill the pipe with argon, so I'm going to cap off both ends. When you weld, argon comes out of the nozzle and allows the weld to solidify in an inert environment. And so when you pump argon on the inside of the weld can also solidify in an inert environment. So it's like the purest form of penetration you can get when you weld. It'll make the weld on the inside look like it does on the outside instead of all like popcorny and gross looking. It'll also make it a lot stronger. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cap off both ends with this aluminum tape. And then sometimes people use like metal plugs or rubber plugs. The rubber plugs might melt away if it gets too hot, and then all your argon leaks out and it makes a big mess. But yeah, I'll cap off both ends, and then I'll poke a hole in one of these and run the line in there and then tape that off. When you back purge the weld, it just makes it a lot stronger, and you're like guaranteed to have good, perfect penetration with it if you actually get the weld hot enough. It's pretty beneficial, especially for like turbo setups, high heat applications where turbos, the manifolds get a lot hotter than regular headers would because there's more back pressure inside the headers, so the heat stays in there for longer. This just makes sure it's going to be as strong as it can possibly be, so these 2 pieces of metal actually become like one. Yeah, I have a project car. It's not really anything that we would do here though. It's like a 86 944 turbo. Trying to make it into like basically a street legal race car, like full roll cage and everything. We used to go out and do the street racers or whatever, and then we got in a real big car wreck. We rear-ended a parked car going 110, and we flipped like 9 times, and I didn't have a seatbelt on. It's kind of a miracle that we all walked away from it. And so now I'm like kind of out of going fast and stuff. Or at least when other people are driving.
This side's ready to go. Whenever you want to weld it, knock yourself out.
I think it's a craft that isn't going to be around forever. Just the whole way people do it, the materials used, style, and hopefully like we can keep doing it, or you know, that's what I try to do, is just kind of keep the older mentality with it and make more handmade parts. And it's such a cool process. It's something you can be proud of. It's cool getting to do this, just being around someone that's better than you.
I grew up watching them. That's kind of what really like triggered the spark for the cars and the motorcycles. It's really watching all those shows, because you just grow up in some town or whatever, you don't get to see cool cars and all that all the time. I think it was Bob was sitting in here like, man, why doesn't some kid just walk, like they really needed an intern, someone to help out. Like, why isn't some kid just like walk in off the street or something like that? Like, what the hell? Like, why can't we find an awesome kid to just be our intern?
Right as I got done saying that, this kid, long hair, you know, hippie kid walks in. Actually, I shouldn't call him a hippie. He doesn't like that. He walks in. He's like, oh, I got off the wrong bus stop and I saw that van.
Just somehow randomly heard this loud ass car coming by. I thought it was gonna be some cool ass old car. I looked by and it's just like shop van. It says speed shop on it.
So I walked here and I just thought I needed to come here, and
ended up interning. Did that for a while, sweeping the floors, cleaning the toilets.
Within the week of him being here, one of the other partners showed up and he's like, who's that kid? And I'm like, oh, that's Alex. And he's like, huh. And he's like, where'd he come from? I'm like, he just showed up. He's like, must be magic.
Nobody even knew my first name until my friends started coming and asking for me. So it's kind of rad.
He had already taken a bunch of welding classes and a bunch of kind of tech classes, so he knew his way around working metal.
The welding and the metal work I kind of have already been doing for a while, dude. Every day, instead of like going and playing with friends or doing weird stuff, all I would do is go in my garage and build. Just got real good at welding when I was like 11, 12, so had my first little MIG welder. Made a little mini chopper, dude, out of 50 and whatnot.
Shortly after him sweeping the floors, one of the guys got injured, and a job that needed to get done we didn't have anyone else, so we put magic on it, and he just nailed it. So ever since then, he's just turned into a tech. So he went from being a floor sweeper kid to magic within a few months.
A lot of things you do in life, it's real hard to get like a solid reward out of it, and something that you can use and like appreciate in front of your face. And it's the same with all these cars. It's just like you do a badass weld and then you get to look at it, and then some guy get to haul ass around and use it up.
I think that's Bob's car. This is my like 38 Zephyr, like Aero Coupe, like 4-door sedan. The Zephyr was the coolest, like Art Deco American car. You know, so those teardrop fenders. It's like Zephyrtopia here. That's my 38 Zephyr Coupe. Yeah, I'm gonna custom chop it, and it needs to happen pretty quick. This is a bad mother right here. All you have to do is chop this car. You don't have to do much else. With the skirts on it and chopped and then dropped on the ground, it looks like it's 1,000,000 miles long. I think I paid like $25,000 for the pair, and like just to get this one basically. One of these sold at auction for like $750,000. So these are like a super high dollar car, you know. They're just hard because you have to make everything. You can't find parts for them. And that's the one. 38's the rarest year. That's the best one. This is my Barris Merc that was at the shop. This one was built by Barris in the 50s. And then it's kind of going to be a raw kind of just road burner type of car, you know. And that's how I originally thought of doing the other one, but then now it's kind of transferred to this one.
When did Barris do it? What year, do you know?
57 or 58, and it was Junior Conway and Sam Barris, and did all the body work, and then that's all the guy could afford. They did body and suspension, and everything else just sat. I got too many projects. I'm good for life, I think. weld the flanges, tack them on this underside.
She considered an idea.
Just finished tacking the runners on the flanges. Tacked the collector to the runners and then pulled it off, brought it over here, and Patrick just threw a couple of tacks on the backside that I couldn't get to, and now I'm just ready to weld up the flanges.
Stainless kind of melts funny and it's super hot to weld, and it's just real tricky metal to weld. Everything has to be super clean and no gaps. They handled it, you know. They also backgassed it to make sure it had full penetration and nice pretty flat welds all the way around. Well, stainless is kind of one of the hardest things to weld, and so if you're good at that, you're a really good welder, so pretty proud of both of them. It's kind of nice for me to sit back and let someone else weld stuff. It's usually the other way around. I just think it looks great. I like the way it looks. I like the way stainless looks, just welded and not do anything. It's such pretty metal, and you don't have to, you know, and they'll change to like gold, you know, once you run it. So there's no reason to get crazy with it. Could always polish them if we want, but
it's cool.
I like them. I like the way they turned out. It's different than what you usually see on flatheads. I think they look cool.
my personal style with any kind of exhaust or headers, whether it be for a car or a bike or anything like that, my theory behind it is like you should be able to pluck the motor out of it and put it on a stand, and the exhaust should make the motor look like it's going fast when it's just sitting there. So, you know, the way the pipes sweep and everything, it should always simulate some kind of motion. And that's just my personal opinion. You know, some people just like, go, you know, which is cool. And it all does the same thing, but I think I like to put a little bit of artistic flair on it to, like, if we're gonna do something, we might as well do it in a cool way. The first exhaust I ever made for a bike, I took it right off the bike and threw it right in the trash and put like stuff over it so no one would look in the trash and see how bad the exhaust system was. But the next set I made was good, you know, and Kenny Price from Samson copied him and based his whole company off the exhaust I made. So, you know, but that he wouldn't have based it off the first set I threw in the trash. But that's how I learned, you know, I think you have to get over the fear of screwing up to actually do good stuff, you know. Not everything I've done is some holy relic, man. I've done a lot of stuff that's just like, whoa, don't look at that, you know, and I think that's the biggest thing, you know, and is to just jump right in and cut that first set of tubing in half and put it up there and see how it works.
Basically, the way I see it with Jesse is he's gonna do a bunch of things that I think are really dumb while he's doing it, and then I'm gonna be like, oh, that's awesome when he's done. And hopefully it'll be the same way around, you know, like when he sees me doing something where he's like, what is that guy doing? And then he's like, oh, you know. So at the end of the day, hopefully we'll meet somewhere in the middle.
This is just my place of dreams. I could be in this place all day long, all night long, never want to leave. It's just a wonderland, really. Kind of just old cars, fast engines, welding a lot. It's great. It's kind of what it is.
I know God put me on this planet for these hands to weld stuff. When I first started being a fabricator, it was considered off, and making stuff and welding, and those were grease monkeys and dirt bags that did that. You know, if you had a job where your hands were dirty, that was still looked down upon. This is what made me 9 years ago stop drinking and never have another drink of liquors, because I realized my skills were so great that if I didn't get serious about life and get serious about capitalizing what gifts God gave me with metal, that I was gonna lose it. So, and I like to drink. I love beer and Southern Comfort and Yukon Jack. I mean, I was professional. I did. I mean, there's nothing better than like a beer on a sunny day at 4 o'clock, the sun's getting low and your eyes squint, you tap the Rockies. But, you know, it's not better than this. You know, I mean, I don't know. It takes me to a different place. It's like, you know, a form of active meditation and therapy and fulfillment, and it's like I was when I was like 8 years old, with the trash can full of Legos dumped on the living room floor. You know, I just sit there for hours and make anything I can imagine. Well, this is the same thing. You know, you reach a certain amount of success and other stuff like television and, you know, everything else that I try to do. You know, I've had a lot of failures, but I've had a lot of good luck and a lot of, you know, seen successes, but it's not what I'm supposed to be doing. This is the thing that I'm supposed to be doing, and this transcends everything, what's success or failure, or, you know, it's in my soul and I'm supposed to be doing it. You know, I love it. I like being here a lot. I'm not Jesse James here, I'm just one of the guys, so it's kind of a good feeling for me.
Like the guy on the shop, the chop shop.
What, on Monster Garage?
I don't know, maybe it's just me.
No. I don't look like the guy on Monster Garage from West Coast Chopper.
You know what, I ain't gonna lie, I don't remember exactly which show that is, but it's
from Long Beach.
Damn, you look just like this one guy that I see on TV be fixing up them cars and stuff. Yeah.
Hop up in there.
Ow!
You gotta lean all the way back.
I love this. Hey, I wish I could ride in it every day.
Crazy ass white boys rolling
That's
around.
all right. I love you white boys. Y'all got it going on.
We was too, man.
Doing all this.
What, you figured it out?
Yeah, do it, dude. What's up? Damn, I said, man, I know I seen him on TV. Dude, I knew it. I just couldn't think of what it was. Hell yeah. I love your show, man.
Thanks, man.
Hell yeah.
Got a new one coming out. It's pretty good.
Come on, let's take us a picture. Come on, right here. He love me. Hey, y'all. I'm taking a picture with a celebrity. We gonna rock the house at Sam Barbecue. All right, bro. You all right?
You all right, too?
That's all right. He snuck up on me.